So if you hang around the internet for, I don't know, maybe 17 seconds or so, you're undoubtedly going to have somebody that has the secret to success and they can't wait to share it with you. And that secret is so powerful, you'll be swimming in money like Scrooge McDuck in no time, and it'll be so easy and so effortless. Well, here's the good news and the bad news. The good news is there actually is a secret to success. The bad news is it's not really sexy, and it's not something that happens really quickly. However, there is a process. Success leaves clues. And what I want to do is break down the actual secret to success. If you study every single successful person and you look at what it's taken for them to achieve the results they've achieved, it's been systematic and it's been focused effort on the right things. So it's not just consistent effort, it's consistent effort focused regularly, right? But on the right things. And that's what I want to talk about. What are the right things for you in your business? And I want to break it down. I have a simple model that we've built out, and it allows us to project into the future to see what is the future potential of this focused effort if we put it in the right spots. So I want to show this to you for two reasons. One, because I don't like anything that is gimmicky, hacks, all of that. I think that it's pretty clear now that success leaves very, very, very clear clues, and I want to illustrate that. And hopefully, my main objective is if you can see this, it'll motivate you to start taking that consistent action and start letting that snowball build over time. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we can take a look at this. So I hid a few fields, so we're going to unpack this little by little. But I want to start with a couple things here. So the first thing we're going to do is I just want to input in some values. So this will be, let's say, your monthly revenue. So let's say right now your monthly revenue is just under $6,000 a month, so $5,775. And you've got about 7,000 visitors coming to the site. You've got a 1.5% conversion rate. When people buy, so 1.5% of these 7,000 people who come will purchase, and they'll spend about $50 on average when they buy, and you have a 10% customer return rate. So 10% of people will come back and buy, right? You're marketing to them after post-purchase, and they're going to come back and repeat buy. So these are pretty standard numbers, and that translates to roughly $5,775. So just under $6,000 a month in revenue, top line revenue. So if we look at that, if we take that number and we multiply it by 12, that monthly revenue number, that gives you an annual run rate of about $70,000 a year. Now, using a 3x multiple on revenue, and we could argue whether it's going to be on EBITDA, whether it's going to be on revenue, what the multiple will be. Let's just use some round numbers that are kind of generally accepted, just to get kind of a business value to start off with. So this is our baseline numbers, right? About $6,000 a month in revenue that is coming from these number of visitors, this conversion rate, this average order value, this returning customer rate, and ultimately it gives us about $70,000 a year in revenue. Now, if you're listening to this, please, I definitely recommend watching the video. I'm going to do my best to describe this as always, but if you watch the video, it should be linked in the show notes, and then you can see the video of this as well. All right, so pretty exciting, right? I mean, we've got a business here that's doing about $6,000 a month, and it's worth about $200,000 if we could find a buyer at about a 3x multiple on revenue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unhide this column here, and I'm going to show you what we want to aim for as the incremental gain every month. And this right here, this is the secret, or part of the secret. First part of the secret to success, to growing your business, to being extraordinarily successful, is incremental gains consistently over time. So we don't have to have huge bumps. Now, they will come, and I'll share a few stories along the way here of companies that we've worked with where we find a vein of gold and we pour fuel on that fire. We build a fire, the fire's running, and we find something and we run with it, and you will see explosive growth in sales in 30, 60, 90 days very, very quickly. But those are the anomalies, right? Those are those events that happen, and they're wonderful if they do, but they're not required to have massive success. However, what we found is the more that you practice this, the more likely you are to find those opportunities when they come where you can really blow up sales. So part of the secret is incremental gains consistently over time to produce exponential results, huge results over time because they start to compound on each other. The other thing is knowing where to focus that effort. I've talked about this before, that as a business owner, as a CEO, your main job, if you think about it at the end of the day, is allocating capital. It's allocating attention. It's knowing where to focus because you have limited resources, right? Limited attention, limited time, limited humans, limited people to work with, limited financial capital. You have to know where to focus those resources. That really, at the end of the day, is what decision-making as a CEO is about and as a business owner. So it's not just putting in effort consistently, it's knowing where to put it. And from a marketing perspective, when you're growing your business, these are the 4 things that you want to focus on. It's getting more traffic to the site, converting more of that traffic into buyers, getting those buyers to spend more when they buy, and getting those buyers to come back and spend more often. So if we can focus on these 4 levers, that's going to create geometric growth, which is going to allow you to expand your business. And that's what I want to illustrate. Again, to show you with numbers how this is possible and to hopefully inspire you to start taking this consistent action and to start focusing on these 4 things. So let's put these variables in. Again, we're going to assume a 1% growth per month, and we're going to see what that ends up being. Now, when I say 1%, I don't mean going from 1.5% conversion rate to 2.5% conversion rate. I'm literally talking a 1% of 1.5% growth. And we want to see what that ends up translating into. And I think if your experience is like mine, when I first understood this concept, I think you're going to be pretty blown away by what the results can be. And I think you're going to be inspired to start taking action and start looking at your business in the long term and actually playing the 2, 3, 4 year game instead of the 2, 3, 4 month game, which is what all the noise is trying to get you to do. And at the end of the day, that just doesn't work, period. So let's go ahead, let's take this, and now let's extrapolate it out. So let's say these are the assumptions. This is our baseline. This is what we're saying we're going to grow at every month. And let's go ahead and project that out into 12 months and see where we end up, okay? So we'll project that out, and here's what happens. So little by little, we start to grow. So you can see here, let's just look at the visitors. We started with 7,000 visitors a month. Now we're going to go up by 1%. So 1% of 7,000 is 70, which means we're going to have 7,000 plus 70, right? 7,070 visitors. However, we also had a 1% increase in our conversion rate the next month. So we went from 1.5% to 1.52%. Technically 1.515, but it'll round up, right? So 1.52. Same thing with average order value. It was $50 per month or per sale. We went up by 1%. 1% of $50 is 50 cents. So that's all you have to do is if next month you can just just split test, do what you can to get average order value up by 50 cents, you've hit your target. And the last lever is our returning customer rate. So instead of 10%, we have 10.1% returning customer rate. Now, again, these all seem inconsequential, right? 1% increase seems like it absolutely accomplishes nothing. But let's look into the future, 12 months into the future, if we can consistently do that, and let's see what we end up with. So here, if you look at the final numbers, we end up having, in all of these, which makes sense, right? Every month we go up 1%, so about a 12% increase in the visitors. Every month we're going up 1%. It's a little bit more because we're increasing a slightly higher number than 1% each month. So instead of exactly 12%, it's 12.68. It's like a little extra. But here's where the power happens. Because all of these feed off of each other, more visitors, converting more, spending more, coming back more often, all of those compound on each other. They're multiplicative. They multiply on each other. The result at the end of the year in monthly revenue is almost 45% increase. So if I would have told you here, hey, in 12 months, we want to increase revenue by 50%, you would start thinking of all these crazy strategies and and we can do this huge campaign and a huge PR release and product release, and we have to spend all this money and all this stuff, right? And if we could just get 1% better every month on 4 key areas, visitors, conversion rate, average order value, returning customer rate, we end up nearly having a 50% increase in revenue. And that's not even the most exciting part, because you're in business. And in business, you have to be thinking about not just how much money you're making, how much profit you're making. You want to be thinking about the value of the asset that you're creating. That's where, especially in e-commerce, that's where the wealth is built. So if we take that, we look at the business value. Our run rate has gone from roughly 5,800 here, 5,775, to a little over 8,300 a month, right? So here we have a $100,000 run rate, which translates at that 3x multiple, which we put in here. And I want to start playing with some of these assumptions to show you what's actually possible. You can see that we have about $300,000 in business value. So not only have we increased revenue by 50% every month, we've also increased business value or enterprise value by $100,000, by nearly $100,000, by simply getting 1% better every month on 4 key areas, by focusing on the things that actually increase the success of your business. Now, again, this might seem very simple, but when you see the numbers, it's pretty powerful. And it actually gets more powerful as you start to look at which of these variables can we maybe get more than 1%. So I'll tell you right now, and this is where ads really start to work their magic, because if you are able to find the product, the offer, the pricing, the product market fit that works, so you've got a fire and then you can pour fuel on that fire, ads allow you to crank up visitors very, very quickly. So let's say that we can, instead of a 1% growth in visitors, we can do a 5% growth in visitors month over month. You can see now our total change for our number of visitors is nearly 80% increase, while everything else stays at about a 12% increase over the year. But because, again, it's all multiplicative, you can see we've got a 130% increase in revenue. So we went from about $5,800 in revenue per month to a little over $13,000 in revenue per month. Now, I think I may have said $5,600 at the beginning of this video, so I apologize. It's just under $5,800 in our baseline assumption. But if we go over here, you can see we're at $13,000. Now, again, that increases our run rate, and because we're multiplying by the same multiple of 3, we've created, now the business is worth nearly $500,000. It went from $200,000 to $500,000. So you've created almost $300,000 more of value by going up 1% every month on the 3 key levers, and then driving more traffic, which one of the easiest ways, and 5% isn't even that much, to be honest, to go from 7,000 visitors in the first month all the way to just under 13,000. We haven't even doubled visitors, and I can tell you, when you find something that works, we double, triple, quadruple visitors in a month when we know we have an ad that's working, because then we really pour fuel on that fire. And that's how you have to think of ads. And I've talked about that separately in other videos, but think of ads as a way to multiply what's already working, not to create something that will work necessarily. And you can see if we really start playing with these numbers, let's say we can get way more aggressive on visitors. Can do an 8% increase on visitors. And conversion rate, I think 1% is modest, because we're going from 1.5% to 1.69. Let's say we can do a 2% increase in conversion rate. That's still starting at 1.5%, which is very average, by the way. It doesn't even get us to 2% at the end of the year. Average order value, let's say we keep it at 1%, and returning customer rate, we can go to 2% increase every month. Now we're looking at a business that we've increased total revenue from $5,800 to over $21,000 a month, and we've had close to a 300% change in monthly revenue. But again, the real power is in how much value we've created in the business, and we've created over $500,000 worth of additional value because we've increased revenue as well. So hopefully this makes sense, and it inspires you to take consistent action. One of my favorite quotes, I say it all the time, it's from Edward Deming: if you just get 1% better every day, in 70 days, you'll be twice as good. It doesn't take that much to get exponential results, to get huge results, to double how good you are. it just takes a 1% increase every single day consistently. I recently did a podcast, interviewed a guest, and I said, what's the one bit of advice you would give? And one of the pieces of advice was be consistent. They had been consistent for 12 years, every single day, doing the same thing, taking consistent action, and shockingly, they have huge brand, huge following, and they're doing incredibly well. So hopefully this inspires you. I know that I love looking at the numbers because obviously I'm a numbers guy. I like to see things broken out like this, but it's based in fact, and I think that's what inspires me whenever I see these numbers. And trust me, I get excited just myself to kind of think of what the future could hold if I just did this. And this applies, as you might guess, it applies to all parts of your life, right? It's not just business. I talk about jiu-jitsu all the time. I love jiu-jitsu. I apply the same mentality. I just think to myself, if I could just get 1% better this month, 1% better this week, just 1%, I know that will compound over time. And it all breaks down to just getting a little bit better today than I was yesterday. Whether that's, putting in a little extra time to study different, techniques, whether it's showing up for an extra class, anything I can do to incrementally get better every single day, every single week, every single month. I just trust the process. And that really is probably the final secret to the secret of success, is trusting the process, knowing that if you consistently show up, you consistently just get a little bit better, and you focus that energy and that effort and that attention on the things that actually move the needle, whether it's jiu-jitsu, whether it's learning a new sport, learning a new instrument, or growing your business. It doesn't matter. The secret is the same. Focus your attention and your effort on the things that actually make a difference. Do it consistently, and just try to do it every single day, and that's all you focus on, and trust the process, that if you do that, in time, you're going to start seeing that exponential gain. Because at first, it looks like nothing. If you look at exponential gains, it looks like nothing at first is happening, and then all of a sudden, it starts to turn, and it looks linear. It looks like, man, if nothing's happened, and then it starts to get a little bit bigger, and then it starts to shoot up. In fact, if I could graph this, hold on, I don't use Google Sheets that much, but let me see if I could graph this out to show this actually. Let me see, insert a chart. So I don't usually graph, but let me see, where do I, data range. Let me just see if I can do this, because I can actually just show this right here. Yes, let's see if this will work. There we go. So there you go. So this doesn't look quite as dramatic as what I'm trying to say, but what will happen is you can see the gain. Look at the gain from here to here. It's very small, so it looks like not much is happening. But then what starts to happen is the compounding starts to take effect, and then look at the distance between each of these. It starts to get longer and longer. It starts to get taller and taller between each gain. And that by definition is exponential growth. So it looks like not a lot's happening. You're putting in the effort. It's like, it didn't really move the needle. Didn't really happen. And then all of a sudden, it starts to pick up. And the slope of this line starts to change. And it goes steeper and steeper and steeper and steeper. And that's ultimately what we're going for. And we just never want to stop that process. It doesn't matter what we're talking about, what skill, and this goes for relationships. This goes for everything. This really is, I think, the secret to success in anything in life. Again, not super sexy, not the most appealing thing to talk about, but when you really see the power of it, it's actually very inspiring, because you realize you don't have to do anything massive today. You don't have to do anything groundbreaking today. You just have to show up consistently, put effort in the right spots, and trust the process. So go out, do those things, and start to put in that effort so you can see those exponential gains, those massive results, and really take advantage of the real secret to success. Until next time, I'll see you soon. Bye.